When people are intimately violated as children, it is so important for you to speak out because you will stop it from happening to the next person. If that person is confronted by their family, the police, by you, by psychologists, then maybe the help that those people need could be had. They could get help so they will not hurt the next child.
See both sides like you know. See on both sides like you know.
Hey everybody. This is Miss Dee, the host of Sides of a Podcast. I want to be serious today because this is a serious topic. You know, sometimes every here and there I hit you with a serious topic or whatever. So this episode, I'm going to be, I guess, summarizing the docu-series or a limited series. I forgot exactly what they called it, but it's a true crime story of the Lyle and Erik Menedez story. Okay. So Netflix has it on their platform as Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menedez story, basically. It is 9 episodes, approximately 9 hours long. Approximately. I only say approximately 9 hours because the last few episodes I checked, it was like an hour long. So I have been spending the last 2 days trying to get this information for this episode, basically. Okay, so here is why I'm coming to the pod with this story, right? Is because I realized that I have my own issues going on in regards to my life and my feelings. And I realized that there are certain things that I have been consuming lately, consuming meaning watching, that have been triggering me and, you know, because of what's going on with me. So this is one of these stories. So like I said, for the sake of really breaking things down, I want to tell you guys from beginning to end, like I said, a summary on what the story was about. Okay. So before I tell you guys what happened, this is a very gruesome story. Viewer discretion is advised. It gets very deep, very triggering. If it was triggering for me, then it could be triggering for you all. So like I said, viewer discussion is advised. I am going to be censoring myself, unfortunately, because YouTube and other platforms, they are super sensitive these days. And I actually want to do an episode about that too, because it's quite ridiculous. But they're super sensitive these days, and you cannot say certain words or they will flag your video and shadow ban it and whatever. You'll pay the consequences, I guess. So I will be heavily censoring myself, and hopefully you guys can pick up on it. All right. So the way the documentary started off was the boys kind of kicked in the door kind of vibe and shot their parents with the shotguns or whatever, right? So they exterminated them. One shot went in the eye and the stomach. I think it said it was 12 altogether, approximately 12 altogether. And then they ran out of ammunition. Lyle Menedez went back to the vehicle, said that he's going to reload to finish off the mother. And apparently, this is what they said during trial, Erik handed him the ammunition to reload because he figured, well, he said that the ammunition was all over the trunk, so he wanted to help his brother out. Okay. That is how the documentary started off. And then, you know, it went on to the therapy session and so on and so forth. So let me unfold the story how I think it should be unfolded. Okay, if that makes sense. So there was a family of 4, a CEO of live entertainment, Jose Menendez. Jose Menendez is an immigrant. Was an immigrant who came from Cuba during the Cuban Revolution. Came to America to have the American dream. Met his wife Kitty Menendez. Well, he obviously married her into Menendez, but met his wife Kitty, and they married. And Jose really liked the idea of having a family, and he really liked the idea of whoop-de-whoop, the American dream he was going after. Obviously, studied in New York. They moved from New York to New Jersey, then California. Okay. All right. So, of course, they had two sons. One was Joseph Lyle Menendez. I believe he is 50. He's in his late 50s. I literally just had this information. He's either 56 or 58. One of the brothers is 56. And then Lyle is 2.5 years younger than him, I believe. Somewhere around there, 2, 3, like 2 years younger than him. I'm sorry. I don't want to get too caught up on that. So Erik is younger, okay? So that is their story. Kitty is a white woman, of course. Yeah. Okay. Fast forward a little bit more. The Jose was very tough on his children, right? That's what was portrayed by Lyle and Erik, and also that was portrayed by a few different family members or witnesses, if you will. He was pretty tough on the boys. He really wanted them to get into tennis. He wanted them to go to college. He wanted them to make something of themselves, obviously, because he didn't want the family name to be embarrassed. Okay. Now, as they grew up, see, I want to make sure I'm telling this. Like, I really want to tell this story in order. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me continue with the way I was saying it then. All right. So he wanted the boys to play sports or whatever. Lyle, obviously, because he was the oldest, he wanted him to play sports first. So they would play tennis or swimming or whatever. And Lyle said that when he was 6 years old, his father would give him quote unquote massages, right? Sometimes there would be oil, sometimes there wouldn't be, sometimes, he would just give his boys massages. And then it escalated. It escalated from him giving Lyle massages, Jose, the father, giving Lyle, his oldest son, massages, maybe on his back, his arm, whatever. Then he started massaging. Then, I guess Jose started saying, okay, Lyle, you massage me now. And then he would massage, his dad's back or whatever. Then it escalated to penis massages, right? So then the Jose would have Lyle give him penis massages and then vice versa. Then it went from penis massages to mouth massages. Obviously, you know what that means. That means oral. Okay. So then we went from regular massages to mouth massages. Okay. Then escalated some more. Then Jose began inserting objects into his son anally, right? So those objects included toothbrushes, and I forgot what other. I remember just mainly toothbrushes, but I'm sure there was other objects, obviously. But I remember mainly they were saying toothbrushes, and he would just lube it up with Vaseline, I suppose, and insert them into his 6-year-old son at the time. And this went on. And as I said, like over time, it just escalated. So this started when he was 6, and then it went on till he was 8. It escalated to, after the mouth massages, after the inserting objects, it then become Jose Menendez inserting himself into his son. Okay. He inserted himself into his son. That was the idea. He would also take showers with his son, and they were, I guess, intimate in that way. Okay. So apparently one day when Lyle was 8 years old and he was in the shower getting inserted from his father, Lyle was crying and screaming out, and he said, please, I want you to stop doing this. This hurts. Jose Menendez apologizes to his son. He said, you know what? I apologize. I don't want to hurt you. I'm going to stop. And allegedly he did. Okay. Now, when he stopped, the brothers say that is only because he turned his intimate, inappropriate energy onto Erik, the younger brother. At that time, Erik was 6 because Lyle was 8. Okay, we're getting the age gap here. So he started to do it with Erik, basically. And same situation. Started off as regular massages after tennis, then went on to mouth massages. I'm sorry, penile massages with hands, I guess. And then went from them massaging each other from body, then penis, then mouth massages, then again inserting objects, then, then he went to Jose Menendez inserting himself into Erik. Okay. And apparently Erik said that Jose would have Erik also insert himself into Jose. Okay, so there was a back and forth thing. Now, they said that Erik got the worst of it because Erik, this went on from 6 until about, what did they say? Until 1 week before he exterminated his parents. Okay. So this went on for a long time. He said it would go on about 2 or 3 times a month from 6 all the way up until, the extermination. And he also said that at some point his brother Lyle inserted objects into Erik as well, throughout this time, which I thought was heartbreaking, but I'll get into my thoughts in a little bit. So that is what happened according to the boys. Now, there are a couple family members and a couple friends that corroborate their story with saying, hey, prior to the exterminations of the parents, that the boys did voice their concern when it came to the inappropriate intimate relationship with Jose. Okay. So not only was he verbally abusive, physically abusive, he was also intimately abusive. Hopefully you guys are able to pick up on that. I don't even think I'm supposed to be saying that word, the ABUSSE word, but we gonna figure it out. Okay, so boom. I bet you guys are probably thinking now, where is the mother? And this is a part of what triggers me. Okay, this is just a part of what triggers me. All of it triggers me, but this is a part of what really triggered me. Okay, let's get into it. The mother allegedly was she was stressed out. She was going through a lot. She was also receiving the verbal, mental, emotional misconduct from Jose. Okay. She was also being cheated on. Okay. She felt less than. Apparently he felt like she was a failure and told her that to her face. Later on in the documentary, apparently he told her he don't love her. He don't love the boys. He wanted a American dream, the American dream. He wanted a family, but the family is a failure. Okay. And he's not happy with it. Okay. So he did have a long-term mistress. And apparently when he would take his business trip, he would also get males, pay gay men to fulfill his needs while he was out of town, which he could have done from the beginning. Let's just say that. Okay. So I'm trying not to get too much into what I think until after. So hold on. I'll drink to that to calm down. Thank you. All right. So once again, we're wondering where the mother is. Apparently she's going through all this mental stuff. She wants to perish herself. She wants to end it all. She does not love herself. She's popping pills. She's an alcoholic. She's going through her own things. But she idolizes Jose so much that she's willing to allow the toxic behavior that she was enduring and the boys was enduring. Okay, so long story short, she knew that Jose was doing this to the boys. Okay. Did it take her a while? Apparently it took her a while, but she knew. Whether it was him locking the doors, this is from a family member, an account from a family member, he would lock the doors after going into Erik's room at times. There would be noises, of course. He would always shower with his boys, of course. Stuff like that. She obviously noticed this stuff and figured that it was quote unquote normal or allowed. I don't know what was going through this woman's head, but she allowed these things to happen to her son nonetheless. All right. So she said nothing. She said nothing. She did nothing. Apparently, throughout the documentary, there was a scene where the mother, I'm sorry, let's take it back a little tiny bit. There's a time when Jose Menedez began to question Erik and asks Erik if he is gay. Erik says, "No, I'm not." He calls his son the derogatory F word, that gays are usually called. He called his son that, and he said, you, I guess, are coming off feminine or whatever it is. He said, "We don't see you with any women, with any, like, what's going on? We think his father thinks he's gay," which is crazy because, need I say what you have your son entering himself into you forcefully and you're doing it to him. What the fuck you think is going to happen? Anyway, moving right along. So he thinks his son is gay. So he confronts his son one day. Apparently he's counting condoms, seeing that he didn't use any condoms. So he's concerned. He goes to his wife. He's mad. Wife asks, "What's going on?" Kitty says, "What's going on, Jose?" He says, "I think our son might have AIDS and he can't bring AIDS into this house. He can't bring AIDS into this house. This is a problem. He can't bring AIDS into this house." Why do you think he's thinking that he's going to bring AIDS? Because if his son is gay, that may mean that he's having intercourse with other men, which contracts AIDS, because at that time, which was the mid to early 1980s, AIDS was a big thing, right? Especially in the LGBTQ community. So Jose was all worked up about this. Kitty interjected herself and began doing penis inspections on her son, Erik. Okay, so this is her part, okay? So not only is she allowing this to happen to her sons, in some way, she's supporting it by including herself and saying, I have to see, check you for any blisters or any whatever. Apparently, as far as the documentary is concerned, Erik said, "No, I can do this myself. I already looked. I told you that I can look. I told you this before. I can look myself. I don't see anything." Apparently, she'd done this multiple times. So, back to what I was going to say. There was one day she sat down with Jose and she said, "Jose, I'm just a little confused and concerned." She said, "Is there something you want to tell me?" He says, "What do you mean?" She said, "Something has been off. We haven't been having intercourse lately. You haven't been touching me. So what's going on?" So he says, so I think she mentioned something about a mistress. She was like, aside from the mistress, I guess. So he's just like nonchalantly kind of denying it, like, what's going on? He's like, "Won't you ask me specifically what you're saying?" And she said, "Are you having intercourse with our boys?" And he's just like, no, 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 no. Why would you say something like that? No, 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 no. Why would you ask me that, basically? So she says, because I don't understand why you are so concerned with if our son Erik has AIDS and you're saying that you can't bring it into this household. Allegedly, he took that time to explain to her that he used to be fondled with as a baby, a baby in diapers. He used to be fondled with by his mother, and she used to play around with his penis until it became erect. And she just thought it was so funny all the time. And his sister thought that was very odd. But that is something that happened with him. Apparently, he also had inappropriate dealings with his father as well. Not sure he got too much into that, but I know that for sure what really affected him, according to the documentary, is the fact that his mother used to fondle with him while he was in diapers until he got erect, and then she would, whatever, laugh at him, I guess. So Kitty found that to be crazy. She was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know. So allegedly, she went to couples counseling because they had spoken about it before. And she figured after learning this information, she would sneakily tell the counselor, hey, won't you ask this? So the therapy session started off with, yeah, I just wanted to marry a man like my father. I saw that my father hit my mother and I wanted a man that was very masculine and whoop-de-whoop. And that's Jose. And I love him for that. And then the therapist goes, okay, well, have you ever been abused? Damn, I keep saying that word. I'm not supposed to. She said, have you ever been assaulted, I guess? And then Kitty was like, no, she's like, no, I haven't, or whatever. And then she was like, so has Jose ever hit you? She said, no. She said, okay, well, have you ever been intimately, assaulted? And then she said no. And then the therapist turns to Jose, have you ever been intimately assaulted? And he was like, Kitty, what the F? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, blah, blah, blah. So he stormed out. And that was not addressed and resolved. Then one day Jose was drunk, called his mother, let his feelings out, called her in Cuba in the middle of the night, let his feelings out. He said, Mom, what you did to me really bothered me. I told you that it really bothered me. And you always just kind of thought it was funny or didn't know what I was talking about. He also said that your sister told me that your uncle used to violate you as a child. And maybe that's something that you should address. Apparently the uncle was a drunk and always came in the middle of the night or whatever to violate Jose's mother. And then the mother went on to Jose, and then Jose went on to Lyle, and then Lyle went on to Erik. Do you understand my thought process here? It's a cycle. So moving right along. That was a lot for me. That instance went on for like 2 whole episodes. They were like literally only talking about the inappropriate, intimate relationship they had with their father. That's a lot. That's taxing. Okay. I don't remember exactly which episodes it was, guys. Maybe 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. I'm not sure. But it's a lot. It's a lot to get through, but I got through it. Bear with me, please. I'm just trying my best to process all of these episodes and just get it out to you guys where it makes sense. So the part that I missed is that the boys began misbehaving as they were in their teenage years. Misbehaving as far as burglarizing other homes and reselling it. Misbehaving as far as plagiarizing in Princeton and getting kicked out. Misbehaving as far as not doing well in their tennis games, I guess. That was a part of it. And then Jose was really irritated with that. And the reason he was irritated with that is because one day he got called down to the police station because the boys had got caught burglarizing. Okay. So he would take like jewelry and stuff like that. And expensive items because they lived in a rich neighborhood at that time they lived in Calabasas. So they were living in a rich neighborhood, and when people would go out of town or whatever, they would just go and rob their homes. Anyway, they got caught. This sent Jose into a quote unquote spiral. He said that, they're not upholding the legacy properly, and he's upset, and whoop de whoop, and they had to move, I guess, for sake of his job or something like that. I'm not sure. Just, I don't know. So they moved to Beverly Hills. Anyway, one day in Beverly Hills. Oh, see, I almost missed the part again. I'm doing my best. So it was court ordered for the boys to see a therapist. That was a part of, their punishment, I guess. It was court ordered for the boys to see a therapist. And the parents would be in the therapy sessions as well. And I guess being very condescending, very nasty, very, I hate the boys, very, to their faces, telling them basically that they hate them. Because I guess they're not withholding what they feel like they should be withholding as far as conduct and legacy. So basically telling them they hate them and they don't really want to be in the therapy session and they just can't stand them. And Kitty feels like the boys' heads come between her and her husband. I bet you do feel like that since he's fucking them. So, all right. So, boom. Moving right along. This therapist is, I guess, in the boy's life for however long. Jose's even telling the therapist to shut the fuck up because he said, I'm paying you. Da, da, da. All right, moving right. So Erik one day was watching the Billionaire Boys Club. And the Billionaire Boys apparently murdered. Shit, I'm not supposed to say that word either. All right, well, we'll be doing some editing. Apparently, the Billionaire Boys exterminated their parents for money. And Erik was like, called his brother in, like, hey, this would be a good idea. Now, this whole thought happened because apparently, I can't exactly remember what happened. I know that Lyle was losing his hair, and then his father made him get a wig that clips into his scalp. I don't know. And then one day, I guess Kitty was mad, snatched the wig off, said, fuck you, basically snatched the wig off, threw it on the table. And Erik had no idea that his brother-in-law was wearing a wig and was appointed to wear a wig by his parents. And so Jose didn't really say much about it. He just kind of gave him his wig back, told him to go fix himself. Erik followed Lyle along, and that's where they really got closer and grew more of a bond because Erik understands that while you're going through a lot, because I go through a lot, so we're really going through a lot, and they got closer. So it was easy for Erik when they found this movie for them to concoct the plot. So allegedly the boys, I don't know if this was, just a part of their defense because they were trying to get off or what, but one of the things they were saying was that they felt like their parents were going to exterminate them first. The mother was very into guns. Whoops. There I go again. Let's try that again. The mother was very into weaponry. And she would always, I guess, fantasize about buying more. The father obviously was always enraged. So the point is, they're saying that their parents' mental states were scary enough for them to try to plot to exterminate the parents before the parents plotted to exterminate them. Was that probably a part of their, their defense in court? Sure. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't know because in a way I feel like the parents wouldn't need to do that. They just kick them out and take them out of the will because apparently right before they plotted to exterminate their parents, Jose told the boys that they were getting out of the will. I'm not going to have you in the will anymore. So, yeah, people say that that was a part of the plot was they wanted money. All right. So, Billionaires Boys Club, I believe it took them approximately about a week to plan the extermination step by step. Tried to create alibis of going out to eat and getting movies. Those alibis didn't quite sell it. They went to go bury the firearms in the woods and changed their clothes and whoop-de-whoop after they, exterminated their parents. Who they say in court that the parents were sleeping at the time of the extermination. So I don't know. All right. Went out, changed their clothes, buried the evidence, and went back to the home, pretended that they were walking into this gruesome scene. And then, they put on their acting voices, called 911. Erik is screaming in the background out of quote unquote horror, and Lyle is crying on the phone. Oh my gosh, my parents, someone did this. When the cops arrived, the first mistake they made was they did not test the boy's hands for gunpowder residue. Okay. They did not. So I believe this investigation went on for months, and then it was a narrative out there that the boys were supporting that it was a mob hit. Okay, because of, I guess, the gruesomeness of it all. They figure, okay, it's a mob hit, and the boys went along with it. Yup, it's a mob hit. The problem that the boys made was that the executives of Live Entertainment gave them bodyguards and limousines and I think an assistant, I'm not sure, gave them money, relocated them, and all of this. And they started spending too much money. They said they spent approximately $700,000 between trips to the Caribbean, Rolex watches, new cars, staying at the motel, ordering out, I guess doing drugs as well, just all types of stuff, throwing parties. So that's what they said that the boys spent very, very quickly after the exterminations of the parents. Well, after a while, I believe the investigation went on for approximately 4 months or so, approximately. Before Erik was really, having a hard time. Erik kept having nightmares where there were alternate realities of what actually happened during his parents' extermination. And he kept reliving that moment, allegedly. And then the only way, quote unquote, that he said it would stop is when he ended himself in the dream with that same shotgun that he did to his parents. So, okay, after that, he decided to go to the same therapist that they went to before. Okay, Dr. Oziel. When Erik called Dr. Oziel, apparently he was excited to have him back in the office, especially after they had been all over the news regarding the extermination of their parents. Erik came down in secret without telling Lyle. And in that first session, he just spilled the beans. He said, we did it. He told him how he did it. There was a why. Erik made him take a walk in the park in order to assure he wasn't recording at first. Kind of just explained what happened, so on and so forth. Didn't really want him to take notes, whatever. So then Erik's crying after admitting what happened. He said, we should get Lyle down here. Erik said, I don't think so. And he said, yeah, we should get Lyle down here. Just trust me, but I have to go to the bathroom. I called Lyle. So he calls Lyle while Erik's in the room. Tell him to get down here. Lyle is pissed. He's absolutely pissed. Honestly, because they were getting away with it. Honestly. But, okay. Calls Lyle down there. Tell Erik, hey, I'll be right back. Goes and makes a call to his mistress. So Dr. Oziel had a mistress named Johanna or something like that. and called her and said, hey, I really need you to come down here for my safety. Just kind of be a witness. Come sit in my therapist waiting area and just kind of be a witness just in case, because these two boys just exterminated their parents and I don't want them to exterminate me. I feel like I'm in great danger. She comes down there. She has her little pistol or whatever in her purse. She gets down there before Lyle gets down there. Dr. Brazil goes back into the office with Erik and awaits, for Lyle to come. Lyle comes, see her in the office, eventually just walks in after waiting for freaking 30 seconds. They go in there. Lyle is telling Dr. Roselle, hey, everything he just told you was a lie. Everything Erik just told you was a complete lie. Dr. Roselle said no. Erik said no, it's not. It's his whole truth. They go back and forth a little bit. And then he tells him, Dr. Roselle tells Lyle, listen, attorney-client privilege, I can't say anything anyway, just chill. I think you guys need me. He said, all my notes from these sessions will be in a safely deposit box. Nobody can access them. But if something does happen to me, they're going to then investigate that. You might want to keep me alive and just keep coming to this therapy because I think this might help you guys. Lyle wanted to exterminate the therapist. Erik said absolutely not. Not a serial, exterminator here. Moving right along, they continue to go back and forth to Dr. Oziel to express their feelings as a couple, as like two people or whatever. They keep going back. Eventually, they let Dr. Oziel record them. And later, those recordings will be admissible in court and to take them down. Okay, moving right along. Johanna gets upset and she's the one who spilled the beans to the cops. She says, I'm going to the cops. Dr. Ozil pissed her off because he said he was going to leave his wife all for a long time. He didn't. Whatever. She snitches. And that is how the boys got caught. Now, their trial goes on, I believe, for years. First one was a mistrial that included expressing their intimate misconduct with their father. That was their whole defense. Johanna got on the stand. She pretty much sounded like a crazy woman. Lyle was acting like a psychopath because he couldn't even understand that you're supposed to stay a certain distance from the mic or the pop. So it was just odd how they portrayed that. It was like he just was not competent in the fact that this is how you speak into a microphone while you're at court. So he kept doing this and that and back and forth. And then the lawyer kept having to tell him, stop it, do this, do that, lean forward, lean back. The lawyer apparently was a celebrity lawyer. She had just got, was it Tom Sweeney? I think she just got Tom Sweeney off from hurting some girl. So she felt empowered, but the public did not like her. So that happened. So yeah, it was just a recipe for disaster, basically. Anyway, some of the jury, the verdict was, some of the jury believed the boys, some of the jury believed the prosecution, and they decided it was a deadlock. It was a deadlock, and there was a hung jury, and it was a mistrial. So they went back approximately 6 months later, and the court said, you guys cannot use the intimate misconduct as a part of your defense anymore. So the defense was basically stripped. They was running out of money. They had two separate lawyers, but Lyle's lawyer quit because she needs her money. And the celebrity lawyer that got Tom Sweeney off did it pro bono for Erik, and they still lost. At this time, the jury was unanimous in convicting the boys because, like I said, they really didn't have no defense at this point. Basically, they felt like the parents was going to get them first, but that wasn't strong enough. You can't plead. You can only plead. That's like, I don't know, hearsay, incompetence. You're just scared. That's an emotion. I don't know. But there was not no concrete evidence of, okay, the boys are going to get exterminated first. You know what I mean? Whereas they could have said that they wanted the horrendous acts of inappropriate intimacy to stop with their father, And, that was their way of ending it because their mother was supportive of the father being inappropriately intimate with the boys. Okay. Whew. Are you guys following me here? This is a lot. I hope I'm breaking it down the right way. I know I had some mishaps. But hopefully I'm telling it in a good enough way. Definitely going to have to bleep up a lot of these things, for the sake of the social media platforms being extremely sensitive. All right. Okay. So I think I pretty much got most of it out. So as I said, the verdict for the first time was a deadlock, hung jury. Second time, the jury unanimously decided to find the boys guilty. And then it was either the death penalty or life without parole. And the jury decided on life without parole. Yeah. And they since then filed a couple of, what is it called? Harpus corpus? Hideous. Hold on. I want to get it right. Oh, habeas corpus, I believe. They filed a couple of those. At first, they wanted to separate the boys in different jails. They ended up sending them to the same facility later. Both boys have been married while in jail. So they got married in jail and stayed married in jail. Erik has had a wife for, I believe 20 something years. Lyle married twice, but the last wife he got married to her in 2003 and they've been married ever since. Yeah, they was receiving love mails, love letters. And then, after the first trial was done, they started receiving hate mail. I don't know. So they have been married. Right now, they're in a correctional facility together in San Diego, California, I believe. Yeah. And then I started doing a little research on the prison system, which I thought was interesting. So I'll probably do that in another episode later down the line. Okay, here are my fucking thoughts. Okay, here's my motherfucking thoughts. For one, as far as the intimate misconduct with children, I feel like this be a norm for people, right? They're thinking because this is what they were taught. And this is what was done to them. And they turned out okay. Okay, he's a CEO of Live Nation. He figured this turned out fine for him. He's a great human. So this must be what needs to be done in order for his boys to turn out how he needs them to. He must feels like he must inflict trauma on these boys in order for them to be the men that he became. The immigrant that fought through and worked hard and became, rich. And now has several, homes in Calabasas, Beverly Hills, whoop-de-whoop. He's living the life as far as when it comes to money and success. So in his mind, I'm guessing because his issues were not resolved as a child when people did it to him. And then it goes on down the line. His mother's was unresolved and so on and so forth. I feel like there's a psychological hiccup here where when things are not addressed, it becomes a norm. And that is a problem. That is why when people are intimately violated as children, it is so important for you to speak out because you will stop it from happening to the next person. If that person is confronted by their family, the police, by you, by psychologists, then maybe the help that those people need could be had. They could get help so they will not hurt the next child. And then this cycle does not go on. Listen, this is not normal to be intimately violated by an adult when you are a child. It is not normal. It is not okay. It is not something you should be sweeping under the rug. It's not something you should be quiet about. Speak out. As you can see, this went all the way down the family line. It started with a drunk uncle to Jose's mother. The mother did it to Jose. Jose did it to Lyle. Lyle did it to Erik. Erik just didn't have enough time to do it to somebody else. Or maybe he was the one that stopped it all. But now Jose has created boys who are psychologically tarnished, I guess, if you want to call it. Why? Because Jose has done something to them that they cannot fathom, they cannot get over, that has messed them up for the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, that ended Jose's life. Allegedly. Because people apparently were in court saying that this inappropriate stuff with Jose never happened, even though there are some family members who support it and some family members that don't support it. But I personally think there's clearly something wrong with these boys. Obviously, there's clearly something psychologically wrong with them that made them watch a movie and think, okay, let's just exterminate our parents. There's something that happened there in their life. People don't just think that. That's just not normal. There are some family members that say, oh, the boys were just acting out. They were always so angry, ungrateful, like stuck up little pieces of crap, whatever. Especially Lyle. He was more outspoken, more angry, more whatever. But apparently so is his father. These are all things that psychologically happen to the human brain when trauma occurs. So all that being said, these people that are crazy out here today, these people that were not able to properly, quote unquote, process, being intimately violated as a kid. Some of us process it, we move on, whoop-de-whoop. But just because we process it and move on and become functioning members of society does not mean that this shit was right. That's why I don't understand certain people that don't speak their truth. You are a grown-ass woman. I first spoke my truth when I was 14 years old. 14. I had the balls back then. And you guys are 30, 40, 50, pussy and still pussy and not speaking your story. I don't understand that. Because imagine the children that came behind you that are screwed up, that couldn't handle it, all because you couldn't go and look that motherfucker in the eye and told him that he hurt you, he violated you, get the authorities involved, get a therapist involved, get parents involved, get someone involved. So if you have done that, I'm specifically speaking to you, speak up. It's never too late. Especially if that person is still alive. It's never too late. You could have stopped 5, 10, 15 children from being violated intimately by the adult that may have violated you, all because you didn't want to speak up. That pisses me off. And although Lyle had the courage to speak up to his father and say, hey, I don't want this to happen to me anymore. I need you to stop it. He was able to speak up for himself, and I commend him for that. And he was also able to speak up for his brother, and I commend him for that. However, he was unsuccessful. He was either too late or unsuccessful. Predators will be predators. Sometimes it don't matter to the victim. People like to think that they're special, right? People like to think, okay, my uncle just liked me because I was a beautiful girl. Or my uncle just liked me because my eyes sparkled. My uncle just liked me because I was the only kid around at the time. No, predators is going to be predators no matter the victim. Right now, do you think, like, men have no picks, especially men, they have no picks. If I had a choice between chuck steak and T-bone steak, I'm going to eat both because steak is steak. Sure, I might not eat cube steak. Maybe that's not my style, but I'm still going to have steak. You understand what I'm going here? So that bothers me in a sense of not speaking out. I understand fear is a huge major part. Listen, I've been through it. I understand. Fear is everything. I get that. But when you have the space, the opportunity, the resources, the whatever to speak out, you should do it. No matter how late, because you never know who you're saving. There is that. A second thing I want to address was the fact that Lyle inserted objects into Erik. A lot of people, here's what I understand about this, okay? A lot of people don't understand, okay, if something was happening to you, why would you want to do it to somebody else? If you didn't like it, if you were upset, why would you want to do it to somebody else? What I understand, just like what Jose understood and what Lyle understood, is when things are happening down a bloodline like that, you're thinking it's normal. You're thinking it's supposed to happen. They didn't think Lyle was gay, right? They thought he was a big, tough, macho man, whoop-de-whoop. Did he have anger issues? Did he have outbursts? Yes. Was he a little rough around the edges? Yes. Jose and Lyle were thinking these are two men that have both been through this. They had turned out exactly, quote unquote, how they were supposed to be. Obviously, Jose was better because he was more successful. But they turned out masculine, how they were supposed to be, whoop-de-whoop. And so what? They wanted to do it to Erik because maybe he'll be masculine and a shark like them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you're a kid, you think things are normal. You're only learning from what has been done to you. There's a psychiatrist that I've been looking at recently who said children have no hindsight. Children do not know better. And so, speaking to you again, if you have a big brother, big sister, big cousin, whoever, who was also a child and intimately violated you, I want you to forgive them. And the reason why I want you to forgive them is not because, whatever else you might be thinking other than they didn't know any better. Really think about what happened to them. Maybe 5 different people done this to them already, and they think that's what you're supposed to do as children. The children don't know any better. They're just doing what they're taught. Do I say that the children are just doing what they're taught? And when I really saw that Lyle was apologizing to his brother, like, I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I really like the feelings and emotions. It's like you can talk about the boys were lying or whatever, or they maybe read a book in order to understand certain things or whoop-de-whoop. Like, no, something's really wrong with them, obviously. These are not just some rich kids that just decided to snap one day. That's just my opinion. So, yes, I took from this, if you do have an assailant that was in your life who was intimately inappropriate with you when you were a child, and those people were children too, really just take a step back and just, this is a default, I guess. This is just something that they were taught. That's just like whooping. I used to whoop my baby dolls with belts and whatever else I can find. Flip-flops. I used to whoop my baby dolls. Why? Because that's what I was taught. Do you understand? Now, some people, they don't do that because they realize that this is not right. They got their, what do you call it? They have their one time or their one person who done it to them and they felt wrong and they figured this shouldn't be done. Especially when you have those kids though that has went through it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I'm saying? So many times. And that's all they know as a child, Just try to forgive them. That's all I'm saying. Seriously. I know that's hard, but they were children. And that child probably went through 10 times worse shit that you have went through. And I'm not saying this is wrong, right. I'm not saying that they should have done it, but I'm just saying forgive them for they were a fool. They had no idea. They were just a child. Another thing that bothered me, which is probably one of the final things, is the mother. Just wanted to do a moment of silence for that. The mother. She knew, okay? But sometimes people are blinded beyond belief. Sometimes people are afraid of letting go their lifestyle. Sometimes people don't want to live a hard life. And while I understand that, I will never forgive her for that. Because sometimes you have to do what's right. What's right is more important than what you want. I get it, your husband, and he's successful. But there's ways around this shit. Now we're talking the 1970s and 1980s. So what? While I'm understanding that times are different now than before, there's alimony, there's different laws in place and all that, still go back to your parents' house. Now her parents apparently was not happy with her. They were ashamed of her because she married an immigrant minority and she's just a white woman. But you have to go with your discernment. What is right? This woman allowed her husband to violate not one child, but both children for years. That's disgusting. And then I go to say that the mothers who allow this to happen to their child is just as disgusting as the actual perpetrator. Let me say that again, because I felt that one. The mother that allows this to go on to her children knowingly is just as bad as the perpetrators. The people that are intimately violating children, you might as well be right there watching and handing over the lube and lifting up a shirt and bending over the child. You might as well be there. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And this is what triggered me about my mother. Because you knew. And what behaviors did you change? What behaviors didn't you change? See, one of the things they said in there was Lyle was so angry beyond belief because he felt like he couldn't protect his brother. He felt like he couldn't protect his brother. And while he spoke up to the father, what else did you do? And I get it. You're a kid. You're 8 years old. You don't fucking know any better. He felt like he couldn't protect his brother. Even when Erik went to Kitty and said, hey, this is what's going on between me and Dad, she called her son a liar. These are the mothers I cannot stand. I will not forgive. I won't go for. I hate it. As a mother, you do what you have to do to protect that child. If the father don't do it, you do it. And if you don't want to do it, you give that child up. I'm sorry. Sometimes the people that get upset, why did my mother give me up? Why did my mother give me up for adoption? Why did my mother give me up to foster care? Baby, that was the best fucking thing for you. And I had to realize that. I had to realize that. It took me a while to really understand. Hey, this woman is not fit. She knows she's not fit. So she let you go into foster care. She made you go into foster care. She left you in foster care because she knows she wasn't fit. And it wasn't until then where the intimate violations with me stopped. But my theory is if you know you're not fit and you had another child, what the fuck makes you think that you changed? Because you had another kid. What, because the father was involved? Bitches get dick dizzy. She still wanted to be with this man, so she kept his child around. And now what? the child has gone through the same shit that I have went through. And so a lot of times in the trial, they were saying, Lyle, Erik, why did you feel like your mother had to be exterminated as well? Most of the wrong word. Exterminated as well. It's because you allowed the shit to go on. I think every mother that has gone through this kind of shit, you don't want to believe your kid. You're thinking whoop-de-whoop. You're allowing shit to go on. You want to keep your life off with their heads. That's what I fucking think. You skanky bitch. You don't deserve it. We need to start persecuting the mothers the same way we persecute the offenders. Make the mothers go to jail too. Make the mothers go to jail too. I'm about to make what? Don't get me started. Make the mothers go to jail too. If you knew and you denied whatever you told your child is not true, they're liars. You got a boyfriend who take care of you and you make them go to jail too. I'm tired. We cannot keep this cycle going. How could we progress as a society if these bitches is too dumb to stand up for themselves, to leave, to figure it out, and the men are too damaged to go get some fucking help? It's time to start taking some accountability around this bitch. We're almost in 2025. When are we going to roll over and get it together as a society? And so we have these people who shunning, oh my gosh, but that's your mom. Oh my gosh, but that's your dad. You should forgive them. Fuck them people. Stand up and get your shit together and figure it out. Move on. Be practicing in healthy routines and healthy behaviors. We got to break the cycle. We have to. If you want to hear more about what I'm specifically talking about when it comes to my story, I do have a video already on Patreon and on my YouTube memberships. It's called I'm Triggered. And that is where I spend an hour breaking down exactly what the fuck I'm pissed off about right now. And I break it down in detail. I hope this story gets out. I'm still angry. And while I didn't go to those extremes that the brothers did, I 100% relate. You know, people like that don't deserve, honestly, they don't deserve it. You're supposed to go the rest of your life violating the next kid, violating the next kid. And the thing is, to do it to your own kids is nasty work anyway. But when you could have been paying workers of that industry, there were young men of age who looked young, whatever. If you're interested in children, there are workers out here that look very young, who are of age, that is willing to sell you what you desire. They're willing to crawl on the floor. They're willing to do stuff with their mouths. They're willing to do backflips and go into your booty. Whatever you desire, there are people out there willing to do it. Just pay for it. Work hard, pay for your creepy little desires, your creepy little whatever the fuck, or maybe you could find a person that's into that. That's like men who's interested in pegging. Sir, it's not that hard to find a bitch that's willing to peg you. You don't have to go do things to little boys. There's plenty of T's in the LGBT community that's willing to do both. They're verse. People don't like to live in their truth. Baby, please live in your truth. Stop hurting these people. Stop hurting people and live in your truth. There's ways around everything. You're in America. If you're not in America, come to America. The world could be at your fingertips. All you need is a little bit of money, because this is a capitalist country. All that to be said, This was a summary of what happened to in the Lyle and Erik Menedez story or case. I hope it broke it down for you guys enough. I hope I did a good job. Please let me know if I didn't. I don't know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Please support me. You know, I put a lot of hours of my time into watching this documentary for you guys. So you guys didn't have to go through all 9 episodes and go through the gruesomeness of the details of the goddamn story. It was crazy. I'm not going to lie. This is not, by the way, this is not a documentary you can just listen to. I thought I could while I was driving the truck. That they said immediately, no. This is not a documentary you could just listen to. This is one you have to really sit down and watch, because it's kind of like a movie show kind of vibe versus like people narrating the documentary for the documentary lovers. I think that's it. I really appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, I hope I did a great job. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I got a little emotional at the end because I can't stand motherfuckers. That's why. I can't stand motherfuckers. It'd be ridiculous. And yeah. Thank you again. See you later.
See on both sides like